Greetings, YouTube. This is the Garage Autonomist, and I am about to do a open mic. I know this wasn't expected, but it is what 12, 16 minutes after midnight, Friday night. I'm not even a bit tired. And hey, what's up, Pure Butterfly Spirit? How you doing? Now, the main topic of tonight, if you are a writer, if you are an artist of any kind, of any stripe, sculptor, painter, bullshit artist, uh, this show is for you because I want to talk about what it's like. I want to know if you all out there have ever experienced writer's block or any kind of block for that matter. You're just not, it's, you have ideas. But the moment you start to think about them or put them out there, you lose enthusiasm. This is not new to me. Hey, Bewildered Ape, what's up, man? This is not new for me. 7 years ago, I'm going to say 10. 10 years ago, I had a really good idea for a novel. And I would say for about a year, I was doing some solid writing on it. Every day I was writing. I had about maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 chapters. And I don't know if it was, I don't think it was really lack of confidence. I just didn't think it was very good. And so I dropped it, put it on the back burner. I then went out and I bought this book called The Artist Way. Everybody swore by this book, right? Oh, it helped me. It helped me with my novel. You know, my friends would tell me, "Oh, it helped me with this. It helped me with that." And next thing you know, I was inspired by the book, and it seemed to help me in other aspects of my life, work, whatever else I was doing at the time. But it damn sure did not help me with the actual fucking thing, which was the book. So if any of you all, and I'm not even looking for a success story. As a matter of fact, I don't think I want some success stories. What I want to hear is the process. What do you guys do when you've just lost enthusiasm for whatever the fuck it is that you want to do? Bewildered Ape says, I lose inspiration all the time. For me, it's a matter of writing what inspires me. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I have this inspiration, but then my problem is that I lose it. I don't, and the book that I was talking about, I that was the first time I had it captured me for more than a year. And then nothing else after that. Well, the thing is that yeah, so that's definitely kind of what's happening right now. I think I have, I literally have 3 pages of good ideas for videos. And although, yeah, hold on. You want the link, Bewildered Ape? Hold on. If you want to join, you certainly can. Let me just, matter of fact, anybody else who wants to join can. And again, this is an open mic, so it doesn't have to necessarily be about this, but But yeah, it's so I like again, I'm not looking for like success stories here, but then again, if you have them, please share them. But so far, I mean, I am like literally I'm sitting there and I'm thinking of great ideas, not only just for this channel, I mean, but again, I'm trying to revisit yet another idea for a book. And I now have this fear that I'm going to do what I did for the last idea for a book. Bewildered Ape says, give me about 3 minutes to sort my shit out. Okay, cool. That's fine. Take your time. Also, just a quick thing. I got to say that what was, I mean, you want to talk about inspiration. I don't think it was inspiration, but I really have to say that in this past week, since Sunday, right? Last Sunday, when Alyssa Milano created the hashtag Me Too. This may have to be a separate. This may have to be a separate hangout, but I gotta say though, it was really a huge, impactful thing for me. Is impactful a real word? I can't remember. Where to see my friends, a lot of women, the different women in my life, friends, family members, comrades, associates, co-workers, even in my social network, just come out and say me too, and sharing some of them sharing their stories, some of them not sharing their stories, and that's fine. I totally understand those who would never want to do it, but I have to say the Me Too thing is a pretty very powerful thing. So I think that I would very much like to do a hangout before as a retrospective. If anyone wants to, they can. We could do like a hangout. I think I might be able to swing that tomorrow night. Don't hold me to it because weird shit just seems to happen all the time. It seems to be happening a lot lately where I'm not able to do the hangouts in a earlier part of the evening like I used to. So but we'll see. But other than that, I gotta say it was a huge. It was really amazing and scary and just really bothersome to have to. I'm not bothersome, but just really alarming to see how many women in my life have all gone through this. I mean, you'd think that I shouldn't be surprised considering my politics, my ideology, but I was really shocked. So I might do a hangout and talk about it a little bit more in depth. So, another thing that I've been into lately is there's a new channel that I really love called Anarchist Kitchen. If you get the chance, you should check it out. Although the person who does the channel, you don't see her face. It's everything about this woman kind of reminds me of my wife, straight up. Except for the tattoos. My wife doesn't is not a tattoo person. But she is definitely has the punk rock thing going. She definitely has the she talks. A talker is the term to use. And that's what I love about this channel. She shares these personal stories that aren't necessarily related to food or cooking while she's cooking. It's pretty cool. So you should check it out. It's called Anarchist Kitchen. Look it up. It's all vegan, vegetarian, and vegan recipes, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm like hugely inspired by that because I'm already running out of steam of vegan dinners around this house. So just wanted to share that with you guys. While she's cooking, it's pretty cool. So you should check it out. It's called Anarchist Kitchen. Look it up. It's all vegan, vegetarian, and vegan recipes, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, cool. Citrus, how you doing? Like,
I'm good.
that because I'm already running out of
Okay, video's off.
so I think you have to turn off your volume on your watch page. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Is that all right now?
Yeah, it's cool. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying I only write when I get inspiration. I know what you mean. You get that block,
Yeah.
and what I find is like I've been writing for the last year, and I've only got about 4 chapters of a novel that I'm trying to write,
Right. Right.
and um, what I'm finding is like current chapter that I'm writing, it's I've got good material for it, but I just am not inspired to write it. And what I'm finding is I got to think about what is it that inspires me about this subject that I'm writing,
Hmm.
and not get caught up in all the other bullshit to make it a story,
Right.
and just
Right.
focus on that. So for example, the next part that I need to write is it's about people in a disaster and they're escaping, and I'm just not inspired to write it. And then I thought, well, what about it inspired me, and it's a conversation that I wanted to write about. So that's what I have to do next, is write that inspiring part and forget about everything around it, um, because otherwise I'll just think about it and not do anything.
Oh, okay. I it's so funny that that sounds very familiar with something that I came across as well. It's like there's this you're more I think what it is like you know what it is that you care more about,
Yeah,
but you know that some event or like there's that how, I don't know how else to describe it. There's like this the superstructure of something, either an event. Hell, it could even be the whole story itself. And it's like that's the part where you kind of really don't want to talk about or don't really want to have to focus on. And you feel like it's taking you away from what it was that inspired you originally. Is that
yeah,
what you're?
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
exactly. Exactly. Um, yeah, I have no, well, this is what I thought about. It was just like about a day ago, right?
Yeah,
I remember how I'm rewatching this TV show called Rome. It was from HBO's Rome, and and I remember when I was a kid, when I was in elementary school, we used to have to read Shakespeare's Caesar, the play,
right. Yeah,
and you went through the whole like part Mark Anthony's speech where he sort of basically exposes the conspirators by well that whole part. But the thing is, in the TV show Rome, they didn't really redo that part. Instead, what they did was they made that part into a conversation that took place in a bar, like it took place in an inn,
yeah,
where instead of having to, because we all know the speech. I mean, even though if I don't, I'm pretty sure it really did happen, but we all know it, and we all know the Mark Anthony bit. But what made it interesting was that they didn't redo it. They just found a different way of kind of getting around it.
right.
And I couldn't help but wonder, like right after what you just said, I was wondering if the writers themselves thought, or the showrunner thought, God, like I really don't want to do that part. Let's think of something else to do to retell that part because that's just boring or that's
Yeah,
just whatever. That's not what I want to do. I want to do this and I want to get on to the other parts of what will make this show or what makes this story unique. So, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, so maybe there's just that thing where,
I
I mean,
also think it.
go
I also
ahead.
think it helps to just to not think about the whole thing as a novel. Like at the moment, I've been working on these few chapters for like about 12 months,
Mhm.
and at times I know what I have as a vision, as a bigger structure, but at the same time, I think just write what it is that it's inspiring me, and focus on that. And it doesn't matter if it becomes a novel or not, because these are all going to be ideas that build up. And that's at least what I keep telling myself. Last couple of weeks, I haven't been too inspired, but earlier tonight, I was thinking, well, what is it that I want to write? And then I thought, yeah, I've got to write that part. And that's what I plan to do next. Whether I do it or not, I'll see how inspired I am by it.
Well, I like that. I never thought of that. All right, yeah. I don't know.
I'm
For me, that sounds helpful.
Yeah, well, I
I
hope
like
it helps. I'm a really slow writer. I like I what I found is something a friend told me once, and he just said, just do a little bit a day, just chip away at it, and you'll find in a several weeks, months, whatever, it will build up, and then you'll have this big mountain of writing to work with. So that's sort of how I approach it.
You know, that's the thing that I got out of that Artist Way book. But this is what I wound up doing. I kept writing, and then it started going more political, and then more political, and then more political. And the next thing you know, 2 years later, I started this channel. So it's like it went away from the idea of me, because that's what they were saying, like just write every day, do this sprinting type of thing. And I was like, okay. But the thing was is that I was doing writing every day. It was no problem, the 3 pages. The problem was it had nothing to do with what the fuck I was trying to write. It had nothing to do with the story at all. It just started going from to started. Then the other problem that I started having was things that I was actually feeling about, like my everyday life.
Yeah,
And so when the more I was doing that, it was sort of, next thing you know, I was basically fucking journaling. And then
right.
that again was something else that took me away from what the thing. And then I was just like, this is completely, it's like, okay, I'm writing every day. That's not the problem. The problem is it's not going towards what the fuck I'm trying to do. But see, the thing is that you just said, like, I think what I have to do is at least try to keep it a little bit in my brain, like a little bit in my mind of, I guess, what the mission should be. Maybe out of what I write, I should be able to take some of that and say, well, okay, I think this would work in the story, or maybe this could go in the book, or I don't know. It's just hard. But that's exactly what I was doing, like, for the last 3-4 years, was that
Right.
I was going about the writing, and that was not a problem. I wasn't blocked from just simply sitting down and writing. It just wasn't going in that direction. But a
Yeah.
friend of mine
Well,
was, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I haven't been inspired to make any videos for the last, what, 6 months. I mean, I might have made one or two here and there, but
Yeah,
it just doesn't interest me. There's nothing that I want to say, and I've just started focusing more on I novel writing.
right, right.
And this is where I'm probably different from you. Is I'm a slow writer, and I don't like writing anything that I'm not going to. I feel I'm not going to use, because I don't want to waste my time writing something
Right.
that has no use for me. But so I don't understand this whole sprint writing. I don't do that. I'll write maybe 5 sentences on one day, and another day, if I'm inspired, I'll write more. And some days I just don't write anything, and I just think about it. Sometimes I do a bit of structure um, work, like how do I want the next few chapters to go, and then it's all just loose. And I don't know. I'm there's no incentive other than inspiration, which sort of maybe makes a difference as well.
Huh. Okay. Yeah.
Like I'm
I
thinking
didn't think of that.
someone like Stephen King, or I don't know, some other renowned writer. They've they know they're going to make money off what they're doing, so they can just pump it out. Especially Stephen King, he writes really quick.
Jesus, I
Uh,
mean, dude, he writes so much that I actually stopped. I couldn't catch up with him anymore. I stopped reading. I actually stopped reading his books by the mid '80s because I couldn't. It was just ridiculous.
well,
What the
that's another
fuck?
thing. I don't even like reading books half the time. I'm not a big reader of books, but I do
Oh
want to write
wow,
stories. Yeah,
yeah.
so that make this another layer to it. So when you say you stopped reading in the 80s, I'm like, well, only very rarely do I read a book, and it has to be something that just pulls me in. Otherwise,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If I've
I
read something before, I don't bother.
well, that's funny because I actually kind of stopped. I basically stopped reading since I moved to New York. I mean, I've read. I mean, I think it's funny. I went from reading fiction and I went from reading nonfiction. When I moved here, it's like the only thing I can really handle are graphic novels now, and I don't
Oh,
know
right.
if and I think it's because literally it's because everyone thinks, oh wow, you're in a city that's about commuting. The train, buses, but it's not like that at all. When the subways are crowded as fuck, you don't really get to sit and get into a situation where you can actually pull out a book and read. Lots of other people do, but that's because they're native New Yorkers. My wife is a native New Yorker. I can't do that. And my wife reads a lot. She reads lots of novels and stuff. And again, I was a voracious reader when I was younger, but my brain is not like that anymore. And only thing I can handle again is Hernandez Brothers, like their stuff, their comics, and it's fucking sad, really. I have like 5 books that I bought because I thought they were great ideas to read. There's this big ass, ginormous black feminist anthology book that I bought, and it's just sitting next to my table on the bed. Haven't touched it, and I bought that thing like 5 months ago. Then underneath that book are 3 other books that aren't even worth mentioning, and I haven't even touched them. I
Does
just I don't know what
does audio
happened.
does audiobooks count as reading?
Does what?
Audiobooks count as reading,
Oh, you
listening to
know
them.
what? That's what I did. I did start doing that. Like I don't think it does because I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Like I know that because definitely I could tell people I love to boast. Well, I read all of George R. R. Martin's books. And, I Anthony Bourdain. Yeah, I read all his books. It's like no, I didn't read them. I fucking listened to them because that's the only thing I can handle on the goddamn subway. Like that's the only thing I can do is handle audiobooks. But no, you know what? Look, you learn just like that, but I do feel like your brain is doing a little bit more exercise. I think when it's reading. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just my opinion, but it just feels like your brain
it's doing
is,
more work.
again, it's doing more work when you're reading. And when you're listening to a book, not so much, but I can't help but say, like, look, I'm more entertained that way now. I don't know. I really do. I think it has more to do with age. I just,
Okay, well, if audiobooks count as reading, which I personally think they are, I've done a lot of reading in the last few months. I can say that.
well, good for you. I think that, matter of fact, I need to go back and do that because I need to stop. I'm running up my phone bill from watching way too many YouTube videos when I'm on the subway because I really do need to go back to ordering more audiobooks. I want to get that new Sherman Alexie, the Sherman Alexie biography. A friend of mine was telling me about it, and it's on audiobook, and I haven't done it. Well, they're so damn expensive. Like I almost feel like they're just as they cost more than the actual books, but I can kind of understand why because they have like actual actors and people like that doing them, right?
Yeah, well, Jenny puts on the ones on YouTube, just whatever audiobooks there, so that's what I'm usually listening to.
Oh, I didn't think about those.
Yeah, they'll just be playing. There's a variety. There's some by well, what are they called? I can't remember. There's a group of people that's voluntary. They're not always that good, but there's a good reading that's worth listening to. Other times, the reader sometimes puts me off what I'm listening to.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I've been listening to
I fell
or
in love
reading.
with yeah, I fell in love with your audio reading, audio book with this one. There used to be a site that I used to go to a lot. I don't know why I stopped. Well, I do. Some of the writers just weren't that great. But uh, Patio Books was a really great site back in the early 2000s. I was going there a lot. And they just and if you want to do it, you could give like them a little donation, like $9 donation or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's this one guy who really blew the hell up, called His name is Scott Sigler, and he made this very interesting series that I love so much called the Galactic Football Series. And it's about like it's basically I don't know if you follow American football or not, but it's basically about a galactic football team. They space travel, and it's like multi-species on the teams and shit. But it's a really good story,
Sounds
and
interesting.
yeah, it's pretty good. I think he's still like I said, he blew up though. Like he wound up well, maybe mainly because he does horror. So that's really where I think a lot of his money, but he has like a core audience for his galactic football league stuff. And I think that book is still on partiobooks.com if they're still around. I haven't even gone to that site in years. But his name is Scott Sigler, and the name of the series is called The Rookie, and it's really
Okay.
good. So if you ever get a chance, like he's not boring at all. The guy's super hyper guy. So he does like all the different voices. He like gives you a really good theatrical show. So if you ever
Cool.
get a chance, check it out. Yeah, it's really good. I like it. Other than that, yeah, you're right. I haven't been really like in terms of actually reading. No, I haven't been inspired at all. It's almost I can definitely handle reading articles and studies online, you know, on a
Yeah.
computer screen. But when I was younger, it was ridiculous. I was a voracious reader. I was going through stuff every week. But but that was when I was living in Texas, and I was mainly on buses going to work. And I don't know. I mean, it just suited the temperament at the time. But now these
Sure.
days, I can't handle it because when you're on a subway, you're really it's like a constant shuffle. And I'm a really tall person, so it's like I can't maneuver and just find like a little tiny nook to hang out in and be in a crowded car, and then suddenly bust out with a book. Um, but like I said, some people can. I fucking can't. I whatever. It's like if I have to stop for 1 second at every stop and then move over for someone else to get into the train or whatever, it's just a bother. It's just I can't concentrate that way. I can't read a book like that. It's just crazy.
Sure.
So I think I need to just break my pride. That's the thing. I didn't really want to admit to a lot of people that I do enjoy listening to an audiobook. I was because it's like, well, I read all the time. Sure, I'm a big fucking liar. No, I've been listening to audiobooks, and I really need to get over it and go ahead and really just go full on and listen to more of them and buy more or do whatever. Or I'll do like what you just mentioned. Check out the YouTube, the ones that are on YouTube.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember Jenny did mention that that's how she was reading, listening, however, of the Game of Thrones is because they were all on YouTube. I was like, really? And then sure enough, I found them. I was like, oh shit, they really are on YouTube. That's funny. But yeah, I was actually I went ahead and bought those. The ones that the ones from I went ahead and bought those, but I had no
Okay.
problem with that. And they were good. They were a good listen. That's for sure.
Yeah, I read the first one. I haven't. I started reading the second one, not actually reading, not listening to audio, and
Mm-hmm.
I just found the prologue just too boring, and I just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
never
It
continued
is
reading it.
the prologues are too much. I remember skipping, fast forwarding through a lot of them. I was lucky where I think that I found a particular app that kind of like sees where the shit cuts off, like or sections off, so you could just kind of go through what you want to get through.
Yeah.
Um, and so that that was a huge help. But uh, yeah. So I think that I like what you're saying, though, about like if you can if you write a sentence, fine. If you wind up writing more than that, that's good too.
Yeah.
Um,
That's my approach.
I like that. Well, I mean, I haven't tried that approach. I think
Yeah.
that like I said, because I was doing the sprint thing, and it wasn't like forced, but it just certainly wasn't anything close to what it was that I was really supposed to be writing. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, the thing for me is I'm still I still have that original inspiration for this particular idea that I'm working on, and that
uh-huh.
was like 12 months ago. So when I first decided, okay, I'm going to write this particular story, and I think I'm just letting it come at its own pace. I'm not trying to force myself to create a book. It's what I want to achieve, and I do have my doubts about ever achieving it at times. Yeah, so it's just I just let it come day to day. Um, yeah, last couple of weeks I've had virtually no inspiration, but I've been still moving stuff around, changing it, editing what I've got. Um, yeah, I find I have to do a lot of research before I can write something as well. So
Yeah.
a lot of my blocks come from not knowing how I'm going to write something or what I'm going to write about to frame it. And
Mhm.
so I just don't write anything, and I'm just thinking about the thing that I want to write. And
Yeah.
sometimes I need to think of what's around it, but just to get me writing. But yeah, it requires a bit of research at times. And I
Yeah,
count that
that's
as I can I'll just say this last thing. I count that research as part of the writing process. I don't just look at how many words I've got or how much I'm writing at any point. It's always there's other stuff part of it that counts towards that work.
oh, yeah. I never thought of it like that. I think that that sounds good. Because I guess when I get into that defeatist mindset, like, oh man, I sat here and did all this research for blah blah blah, or this part or whatever, because I was trying to get some authenticity to something, or
Sure.
and then I didn't, and then I just go like, oh, I didn't do anything, and it's like I never thought of that. The whole point of the purpose of that was that you were supposed to research, and who cares? Like you should count that to the writing. I never
Definitely.
thought. Yeah.
Definitely. Because I've studied, like, I've gone into journal articles and looking at how certain weapons hurt people or how certain elements like fire, like what sort of burns people. Again, I've studied it in depth, but haven't written much about it. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
well, that was a lot of days of study. That counts as part of the writing. It has to, because I'm going to write something from that eventually, or I have written some aspects of it. But yeah, and it's not always might only be a paragraph that it adds up to. But in terms of learning it, though, it gives me more framing later on when I'm writing further later in the chapter or other people having the same experience. And so all the knowledge is already there and I've done the research.
That's really good, and that makes a lot of sense because as you were just saying that, I was just thinking about what was one of the things that I really enjoy when I was reading, like when I read like some like some books of Stephen King. I'm just bringing him up
Sure.
but the thing is that he'll like I remember like he'll like there will be a thing where if two characters were talking about something, but they were talking about a subject matter, right?
Yeah.
What made that dialogue so good was that yeah, what made it so real, and it seemed like such a realistic conversation the two people were having, whether it was about motorcycles or whether it was about what would happen if this particular kind of fire happened, or what happens if the treasury suddenly started pumping out billions of just started printing billions of dollars to fix the deficit. Like he it just dawned on me as you were speaking, like what you just said just dawned on me that he must, he of course he sat down and he did research for this shit. Like that's how his characters. Like there was a part in The Stand where Stu, the main character, was talking to some friends, and they were, I think it was at a bar or whatever, and it was like, well, we can fix the deficit if they would just simply print more money, and one of the other guys was like, no, idiot, you can't do it. You can't do it that way because I forgot how that conversation went, but I'm a little fuzzy on that. I forgot about that part. But anyway, the point is that obviously he sat down and said, "Okay, yeah, why don't we fix it?" I'm pretty sure he asked, "Why don't we fix, the nation's debt by just printing
Yeah.
out a bunch of money and paying ourselves to fix it?" And I'm pretty sure that he went to the library because there was no internet at the time, and he went to the library and he sorted that shit out. So yeah, yeah, you're right. I think definitely. I never thought of it that way, but you're right. Research counts towards that, or else and that's the other thing is like this fear of, well, what if somebody actually did this before, like what I'm writing, or what if this, or then there's this fear of, well, if I rush through this and just write any old piece of shit, then I'm gonna be like everything that I hate, which is
Right. Yeah.
a piece of shit. Like I just hate bad writing. I hate lazy writing. I hate shit that I'm not gonna mention his name, but there is a YouTuber whose books no, it's not Work Corpse, but it's another guy who and the only reason why I'm not protecting him or anything, it's just that I just don't feel like getting into
David
it. Like,
Serini, Brett Keane. I'm just
no,
trying to think of the list now.
no, fuck it. It's Sean James. Sean James. I bought a book by Sean James. Sean James is a black Manispherian guy. He lives in the
Right.
Bronx. And I'm sitting there, and and that's exactly what I don't want to put out. Is a book that that literally just says I'm gonna, and the man ran down the street, and they had this fight, and it's like and you're sitting there going, oh my god, it's like a 6-year-old wrote this. Please help me. I don't want to put no shit out like this. But then I thought about it, and it's like, but I'm not trying to write no shit like that. But you just get so fearful of you become your worst critic is basically what happens, even before you do anything. I think that that's kind of like another issue of mine.
Right. Right.
But then I think that at some point you have to kind of turn off that critic and
With
either you I don't know.
with what you were saying about the fear of someone else writing it or what's being written,
Mhm.
I don't think that matters to me. Because I know my perspective is going to be different from other people's anyway, and I'm sure yours will be as well. It's like I don't think anyone could write something with the same perspective that you have. They could write a similar genre
Uh-huh.
or subject matter, and I mean, I'm the genre I'm writing in, lots of people have done in it, and that genres always bother me. It's like I don't want to be part of a genre, but then it's like, well, this is what it would be labeled as, so I accept it, but I know what I'm doing is going to be different in many ways. In some ways, there's going to be similarities, but I don't care. I'm just going to work on expressing the ideas that I want to express, just the same as I did with YouTube. It's like I needed an outlet to have some fun with creativity, and that's what I did. So I
Mhm.
have that same approach with what I'm writing.
Well, that's I never, again, I never thought about that either. I'm really fucking glad I did this because I guess it's because I guess I needed like I have other friends. I have one friend who really is like she actually wrote books and stuff. But that's the other thing. Like a lot of them are just doing different stuff. It is mainly like parenting, which is something that I like has, I don't have any interest in that, but it's like but it's like they did it. They just went out and they just did it.
Yeah,
But none of their challenges are what I'm going through. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, and what you're saying is definitely in is definitely what I'm dealing with. And so this is good. Like, I'm really glad I did this tonight because that's yeah. It's like every time, and then when I read like these writing coaches type things, like I'm already put off by them because they're not.
Yeah,
I don't.
I don't read those. The, the only thing that I read, because I've had to look at stuff to go, okay, well, how do I write a conversation? How do I structure a chapter
Oh,
or what I'm writing?
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And for that, I actually tend to look more at screenplays because I'm 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 wanting to write something that people can a lot more easily relate to and understand because I'm trying to go for commercial writing. I want to be a bestseller. I
Hmm.
don't care about being a literary great. I know
Uh-huh.
what I want, and so I'm going along the lines of looking at how what I could write could translate to screenwriting later on, because originally that was what I was more inspired earlier in my life when I started thinking about what I wanted to do was filmmaking. So I've still got a lot of skills from that, and it's interesting because I was looking at something recently, and then I got into looking at some different ways comics do dialogue and how the characters discuss things, and it just gave me more ideas. It's like I think I don't think writing needs to be, or novel writing is a specific craft in itself. I think you can pull from other directions. Like you could probably pull from the graphic novels that you read
Uh-huh.
because they'll have things happening in it that might interest you, and yeah, so that's how I work with it.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah, I like that. That's good. The yeah, I mean, and you're right. Like one thing that I did was that I did go and look and see like what's the dialogue structure. You're right about that, and that's again that's another thing that you just said that I didn't think about because you were talking about pulling from different other places. There are times when, as I'm writing, I was like, wow, this is getting too much to be like a graphic novel. Like I'm not I'm thinking more of it like that, and this is supposed to be a novel, but it, that's a very conventional way of thinking, and that's not obviously you have to be more freer or thinking out of the box to do that, or at least
Yeah.
that sounds like your approach, and I think I would rather go with your. I think that I think I need to try that. That's what I'm saying. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea. Yeah. All right. Good. So I good. This is really good. I mean, maybe I really there's a couple of things you just brought up now tonight that uh slow building or slow writing as you put it, and then just going ahead with whatever it is that I want to do rather than trying to be like this forced structure because that's what was killing the inspiration
Yeah, that
within.
does.
So, yeah.
I find that. Yeah, yeah. Cause I've taken a lot of projects on over the years and haven't got very far because of the structure, and I've just gotten to a stage where I'm just like, okay, if it's gonna happen, it will happen in its own time. And but even today, I'm still feeling that same inspiration I felt 12 months ago, which is really good because it means I'm not off the idea. Like I'm thinking about it every day,
Hmm.
but and and when I'm thinking about it, especially the last 2 weeks, I haven't been inspired, and I was like, well, I worked on things that I could work on, and then the last few days, I'd been getting back into it, and then today I thought, I know what I need to do. I need to really work on that conversation that happens just before the incident, rather than what leads up to the incident that I want to write about.
Right.
And then I can work backwards. Like sometimes I write, like I've already this first chapter that I've written. I had another first chapter. I've now written another one for it. I started writing the end part of the chapter first and worked my way backwards. Then I went to the start, and it's sort of just filling in and coming together. I'm not someone who just writes out a story. I can't do that. It's more sort of amalgamation of ideas that all come together.
Right.
Yeah. I've
Right.
actually pulled a Skype conversation I had about a year ago with someone who was working under me when I was previously employed, and I'm using that as the basis for some of the dialogue. So this is different places I pull it from.
Well, though, see, that's good because I've been thinking of doing that as well, but I just haven't found, like the old conversations and or things that uh or conversations that I may have had like years ago and shit like that. And I've said, I want to use that. I just have to think about where that would fit in or just think about it, just more. But that's a
Yeah,
good idea.
it reminds me of William S. Burroughs' Naked Lunch because he wrote that from Tunisia to a friend in the States, and it's all based on the novel's based on the letters that he wrote. So he's
Hmm.
pulled it together from all that, and it's like there's just so many different ways that you can be creative with writing, and you got to find your own process, is what I believe.
Yeah.
There's no prescription to it that this is how you write a novel and
Hmm.
this is what you achieve. But,
Yeah,
so
you're
for
right
me,
about the
yeah.
process part. Yeah, that's the other thing that I think is just almost as intensive as trying to write or what it is that you're writing is what your process will be, and of course you can't think of it until it actually comes to you, and then you're like, okay, this works.
Mm.
So I'm just not, that hasn't happened for me just yet.
Well, so on what do you write? For
Mhm.
instance, like I often write on a computer, but more often, since I've got a tablet, I've been writing on that, and I can find I'm writing a lot more because I can just have it on me. I can be anywhere. I can just quickly tap down a sentence or a notes and
Uh-huh.
don't think about it, and then I'm going on doing something else, and then I'll pick it up, type some more, and I don't have to sit down in front of a computer, which is also something um, I can't always do. I just can't do it. Sit there and be creative. So for me, another part of my creativity is being able to do something about it when I'm feeling it.
What I'm glad you brought that up. I've in the past, I know that when it came to little things like, I don't know, a poem here and there, or like a really short story where I've actually been able to finish it, I've noticed that it happens when I'm actually writing on paper. But
Yeah,
then I know that I'm gonna have to go back and type it on something just so I can keep it because paper gets wet, paper
sure.
burns, or gets thrown in the garbage by accident. So what I'm wondering is, now I have a tablet. I barely use it, but and it was from work. It
I
they
recommend it. I'll lie on the couch and I'll be just working away on it, and
uh,
I can even have a conversation. Sometimes, like I'll stop from the conversation and write and whatever. And then I just put it down and come back to it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. And if I need to do a substantial amount of writing and editing, then I'll go to the PC and I'll sit down and do what I need to do. But for a lot of the building, I can
uh,
just tap out something whenever I feel like it. That's what I've been a lot more productive since I've got this tablet, and I've had it for let's see, since August. So
I
it's
have
really
a
helped me.
question. Yeah, that's good. I like that. That's a good idea. I may need to go ahead and try that now. But let me ask you this: is there like an app or something where you can, I don't know, write with either a light pen or your finger, and then the shit will just go into uh, regular text? Like I thought there was something like that, but I can't remember.
There's voice to text, like you can talk to things and it writes it, and it's not always accurate. But I've
Yeah,
never tried that.
yeah, that I've tried it. It works pretty well. When I didn't feel like typing, a lot. Like when I'm at work and I need to put out some emails and things like that to staff, to staff. I go ahead and I use the Google. That's the Google Writer does that shit. It's
Right.
really good. And but interestingly enough, I never thought about using it for creative purposes. But I thought that there was a thing where, because I know that when I'm actually like with a pen on the piece of paper, I don't know why it does that, but it's true. But then when I want to sit and type something creatively, it just doesn't happen. But when I know
Right.
that when I'm like one time, I went to go see my sister because my oldest niece was had graduated, and it was a big deal. So my sister wanted me to come, and I went. And all the time that I was on the plane, I wrote a really great short. I liked it anyway. It was a really great short story,
Mm.
and I was able to finish it and everything by the time I got off the plane. My point though is that it was, it was just on a pen and paper. I was not on my computer, which was back in New York, and that's all there was to it. And it's like, damn, I just did this again because, again, even when I was a kid, I always had this tendency of doing better writing. But I know that, like, again, like I just said, there's paper mortality. So,
Yeah.
and it does good. It does good when you want to go back and start editing and stuff like that. If it's all on paper. So
Sure. Sure.
the point is that I'm just wondering. You know what? I'll do the research on that because I'm pretty sure there's something where if it's like you can write it out and then it just converts to it just
Yeah, I'm not
converts
aware
to
of it,
text.
but there may be.
Yeah, I'll look that up. So, I see Big J is in the chat room. He says, "Bewildered ape, how long are you?" Well, I think he's gonna be here for a while. Big J. He's married to Jenny. Like, what the hell?
Oh,
What the hell is he talking about? Okay. But yeah, I this was really good because you have no idea. You gave me a lot of really good ideas here for me to review and to and to aspire. It's so funny when I did this, I just thought it was going to be a pity party because I just was like, this sucks. I'm not on one end. It's like, yeah, I am running out of inspiration. I know that I'm not. No one needs to fear. I'm not going to shut the channel down or nothing. But it's like I'm seeing what's happening to me right now with making videos is exactly what's happening to me with writing.
yeah.
I mean, they're definitely tied in, but I mean, but what really triggered all this was more than anything else was just this very unusual start that I've had since August. Like at my job. So it's like
Sure.
since the end of August at my job. So it's like I it's just one thing after the other that's really been keeping me from the normal time periods when I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to edit, I'm going to put this video together, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like, it's just been one weird thing. Like even last weekend, that whole weekend was completely shanghaied because I had my nephew-in-law's bar mitzvah.
Mm.
So it's like I had to go to that. And that was not like just a day thing that can happen. It was, it started from Friday night, then Saturday, and then, Sunday, please. I just had the normal shit that I needed to do. So there was
Sure.
no way I was going to be able to do videos. But it was stuff like that that's been going on since, like I said, since September. But but this was really good. So,
Well, you brought up a topic that I'm actually really, really interested in. Like,
uh,
often I thought, oh, I should go on, and it's like, well, it's just political stuff, which is fine. I have opinions on it, and I I don't mind sharing it. But this is something that I'm really interested in, and it's it's so much that I actually stopped a lot of my video making because it started to really work for me. Um, and I just don't have any inspiration for YouTube at the moment. It's
Yeah.
I just don't see the point personally for me.
Yeah.
It's it kind of I find it sad for myself because I know I've got a lot of skills I can use to make videos, but the work that I put in and just all the bullshit and fuckery that's on just online,
Yeah.
just how people want to see what you're saying and how they want to hear it or read it, and it's just like I'm just messing around making videos for fun. It's like
Uh-huh.
people take me a bit too seriously, I think.
I know, right? It was funny how people take you seriously. I mean, there were times when I thought, I mean, the way people talk, you think that you were like the Bader Meinhof gang or some shit. Like you're like a one man member of the Bader Meinhof gang, and it's like, what you guys aren't getting it. It's like but at the same time, like I thought, but I get it. Like, believe me, you're
Yeah.
not gonna hear me ever be like, God damn it, bewildered it. Like, why don't you do this? Why aren't you doing? It's like I get it. Like, and now it's like maybe you just feel like you've said all you needed to say, but I think that on the other ends, people just another thing is where people just didn't get you, or that maybe they did, but then it's like
Sometimes
they're
I
not.
sometimes I
Huh?
think they get it. Sometimes I think they get it, but they're just choosing to take a political side,
Yeah.
and because they'll focus on a particular part of something and be like, oh, you did this and you did that, and I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot more going on there if you look at it, but they
Yeah.
never want to talk about that. Just the videos that I've made, and just for example, the letter to the institute. Like no one actually ever talks about the content of that letter, and I think it's crafted really well because it says some funny stuff in there. But people are just like, "Oh, you wrote
You
to
are
someone's
funny.
employer,"
Hmm.
and it's like, "Well,
And
I
you know
can
what it
write a
is?
letter to someone."
Right. That's it right there. You're dealing with an audience that is surprisingly dumber than you weren't even thinking that they were going to be this up to like this off. Like you just didn't think
Yeah,
that they would be this way. And it's
no,
like,
no,
why aren't you getting this is what I'm saying. And can't you see how this is the funny part? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what is your problem? So it's like, yeah, I know. Listen, I get where you're coming from. And again, I mean, who knows? Maybe whatever you may want to do, you may not ever want to do it, or you may not ever come, like do whatever. So I totally get it.
yeah,
Me on my end, it's like it's so funny, what happened was I felt like I was doing really, really good. I was really good. I felt like I was doing really well with Adobe Premiere. Like all of a sudden I feel like, holy shit, like this is way better than anything that I've like in terms of editing and I'm learning these different skills. Like this is way cooler than what I was doing
yeah.
before when I was working with OpenShot. But then suddenly, all of a sudden, it wasn't fun. Like it was something happening like
Does it become more work because you can do more?
yeah. Yeah, that's it. Oh my god, that's it. It became more work because I could do more and you knew that you would suck if you went back to what you were doing
Yeah, yeah.
or the way you were doing things and now you're like, oh, and now you're like in this weird in between like like and then yeah, so that was one thing, and then the other thing was that scheduling and weird shit happen. Like no, I shouldn't say weird, just stuff that just like last week, because my wife was out of town, so for business, so I had to go to college night. I had to go to for at my oldest daughter's high school.
Yeah,
So even then, that would have been a night where I could have did something, but then no, it wasn't going to happen. And,
yeah,
and and so stuff like that started happening. So and then you feel like then you got this. You also feel like this little another thing that puts you off or demoralizes you a little bit is that you have this feeling of I gotta produce. But then it's like, no, you don't really have to. You're not. This isn't a job. You know,
Yeah,
this is something. Remember, you started this shit because you just wanted to have fun, or you just this was fun for you, or this was just something you
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
do. And yeah, so
It
so
takes me like about 3, 4 days full time and a bit more time than that just during whenever I have a chance just to make one video now. Like the work that I put into it, and people just don't have any idea or appreciate it. Like
yeah,
generally, like, and for me, it's like, well, I can't justify that anymore. As much as I enjoy being creative and producing for people, it's like no one's really that interested. I'll get a couple of hundred views, and that's I that's fine. I appreciate that, but at the same time, it's like, well, I'm putting a hell of a lot more work in than a lot of people out there, and it's just like, what's the point? It's like I'll,
yeah,
I'll put that energy into something that gives me more reward,
yeah.
and that's
I,
why I
I, I
focused on writing novels because it's like, well, no one's reading it, no one's like until I finish it, and at the end of it, if I have something, well, there it is, it's done, and I've enjoyed the journey of creating that because it's something I haven't done before.
I will listen. I 100% agree with what you just said, and yeah, that's I totally get that, and you're right. The one thing that has helped me ever since I even started this channel was that I don't look at the numbers. I don't look at the
Yeah,
number of views because I feel like the moment I do, that's when I am probably going to start sucking because that's when I'm going to start just wanting to just say something just to say it or put some shit out there just to say it. And I have done that every now and then and realized that it was something that I didn't really like at the end. So I've decided that I'm not going to pay attention to numbers because everyone else does, and I that's one of the main reasons why I hate them when they do that. Like, just stop
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And so yeah, and I like and I totally get it. Like there is I totally understand. You put a lot of work in a lot of the shit that you've done. The earlier videos, the later ones, especially the later ones, were amazing. Your more recent ones, and I totally get why you feel the way you felt because when I saw the last two videos like that smaller series that
yeah,
you did, I mean, that was nothing compared. Like that was way more like production. That whole level of production, and even then, I even had a little glimpse in the back of my mind, like he's probably not going to do anything else after this because
you're
no
so right.
one. Right, it's like he's not going to because the amount of work that I saw and the production behind all of that, only for oh, you suck, BA. Oh, you're a cuck. Like if that's the only thing he gets, or this, or these, these couple of views that he got or whatever, I wouldn't blame him if he said, "Oh, fuck this shit." Like I got other things to deal with. I got other things that I want to do, and I knew,
Yeah,
and I kind of felt like a little bit like that was going to happen,
yeah,
and I can also see that. Like I think people who are really smart and people who've done really really good stuff on YouTube in the past, I know that they get burnt out and they just kind of like, they get burnt out. I think that
yeah,
people who can just phone it in, they'll never get burned out. And and besides that, they're gonna always be about numbers anyway. And
yeah,
they're gonna be there. They're like fucking roaches. They'll be here forever. Like they'll just be on YouTube forever. So,
What I got out of those last videos though that I can still use is conversation construction because I was pulling
right.
different videos together and creating conversations out of them, and I'm like,
Exactly.
this
And
is
then
great.
I
I
mean
could I can do this in writing.
that's a good point. But God, yeah, like I yes, I got that. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, like the amount of work that he did, like that he had to have put into grabbing, and then even like little bits and pieces of what's his name's Like when like his part.
Was that Devon?
Devin, thank you. How many videos did you have to listen and go through to be able to pull all of the? It had to have been lots of hours of
Yeah,
audio or
I'll
video.
I'll get up in the morning and I'll do because I'm still waiting to get my green card, so I
Yeah.
can't really do anything. So what I'll do is I'll get up and I'll just listen to what I actually end up only working on about 3, 4 videos of any particular individual and just pull out bits from it. But I guess the time consuming part is when there's something I want them to say and I have to go searching through their video catalog to find it
Mhm.
and pull that together. That's where a lot of the work comes or time consuming work comes from.
Right.
But once I've pulled it together, it's just a matter of fixing it up and moving it around, and it gets a lot easier.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Well, all I can say is that I appreciated all of that, and I totally understood, and I totally understand where you are now. Uh, you know, like where you're coming from now. So either way, it was greatly appreciated, and
Oh,
yeah,
you're
I
welcome.
totally get it.
I've been wanting to come on, but I've always just sort of thought, oh no, just let Garage do his thing. He's talking about something. I can type in the chat. But
No, that's fine too. Thank you so much. I'm this was really fucking good. And that's another thing. I was like, this is probably what I need to start doing more is doing just what I want to do because there's not there is no I even said it a long time ago to myself, like don't make any rules for yourself. Yeah, you're political. Yeah, you can talk about activism. Yeah, you can do this. But then there's other shit that you want to talk about. You should just do it. And tonight has nothing to do with any of the other shit that I've ever talked about. Like writer's block, I'm pretty sure, some people were like, sort of, what the fuck? What does that have to do with anything? But then, at least in regards to this channel. But then I think that that's one of my other issues is that I put way too much like, oh, this channel is supposed to be about this, that, and the other. And then there's other times when I've like, well, I think some of my best stuff was also me saying, no, you don't have to do that. If you want to do a fucking TV, like a review of a TV show like Insecure, you should do that. Just go ahead and do that. Like, who cares?
mm,
So, But yeah, this is great. I'm gonna go ahead and I think let's see here. Big J Triple X has nothing else to say. Overdosed on Truth, which is also Elm City, is here. I want to say hello to her. But and Strange Fruit is here. Great. But guys, I think I don't know. Do you have anything else
no, I
you
got
wanna
nothing more to say.
good. I think that this was really good. Thank you, because you really helped me. I'm serious. You really helped me
You're
a great
welcome.
deal. And I'm gonna definitely do another conversation or another open mic like this again. Um soon, very soon.
Okay.
But thank you so much. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the chat. So I wanna thank everybody else for coming. And I hope this was really good. I hope this inspires you if any of you guys are out there doing anything. Peace. Thank you so much.